Hi everyone, this is Himanshu and welcome to the UPSC Civil Services lectures. In this lecture, we will discuss about the IRNSS, that is the Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. Now, IRNSS is also called the NAVIC, which is similar to the GPS. So what we basically call it as NAVIC. Which is actually similar to GPS. And for example, if this is an equator and this is where if we can make, you know, mhm, this is where the Australia is there. All right, so let me make use a different pen here. Now in here we have completely 3 plus 4 satellites, from which basically the 4 satellites are the geosynchronous and the 3 satellites are geostationary orbit. So 3 satellites, the one of them is around here, the other one is here, and the other one is here. Now these 3 are the geostationary orbit, which is basically C, D and E. And the 4 satellites are the geosynchronous orbit, which will cover and make the shape of 8, pretty much like this. Now here which is basically, we can say A, B, F and G, right? So if I say whatever the satellites which has been marked from this, these are basically the 4 satellite and these are geosynchronous satellites. Geosynchronous satellites, whereas which has been marked from green, these are 3 satellites which are basically geostationary satellite. More importantly, the NAVIC satellite, which is basically the IRNSS, has an accuracy of 20 meters in its primary coverage area, and more importantly, it serves to an area not only India but 1500 kilometers around India's boundary. That's important because they have asked this question in the last year. So yes, it not only covers the Indian mainland but also 1500 kilometers across the Indian boundaries. Apart from that, the NAVIC provides 2 types of services. So it has 2 types of services. The first one is standard positioning services, which are actually meant for all users, and the second one is, the restricted services. Now these restricted services are actually the encrypted services which is provided only to authorized users like military, security agencies, etc. Apart from that, it has a various applications, some of them like, in the terrestrial, aerial and marine. It is used in all 3. It can be used for the disaster management. It can be used for the vehicle training because it has inbuilt GPS in it, the vehicle tracking, and fleet management is also one of, can be an application, you know integration with the mobile phones, the, or we can say, the precise timing, and they can be the mapping, the mapping and the geodetic capture. Geodetic captures can be there. The terrestrial navigation for the hikers and travelers, visual and the voice navigation, it can be one of the example application for the Navig satellite. So this is mainly the highlight of this thing, and I think these are the main points that you need to know about the IRNSS. So let's talk about the new one which has been recently came into the picture news, that is IDRSS. So we'll give it a heading here, IDRSS. IDRSS is basically stand for the Indian Data Relay Satellite System. So it is Indian Data Relay Satellite System. So this is what basically it means. Now the ISRO has launched this satellite, or I think ISRO will launch because it has not been launched yet, and it is primarily meant for providing the continuous real-time communication of the LEO satellite, including the human space mission from the ground station. So in short, what it does, if this is Earth and this is the ground station, and we will make one antenna here, okay, and this is, for example, satellite. So what generally happen when a communication take place here, then here, or vice versa in the duplex communication? Now all this thing will be provided by a continuous or a real-time mechanism, or simply a real-time communication, and this is basically a LEO orbit, right? Including if in the, for example, in the future we're gonna send the Chandrayaan and the Mangalyaan. So the communication for all these, both the ground and the Gaganyaan, will be done through the another satellite which is called the IDRSS. So the IDRSS will be two satellites actually will be launched. So there will be two satellites will be launched. They will be, and they will be in the geostationary orbit at the LEO itself. Apart from that, because of this satellite, currently the satellite in the LEO communication is ground. So generally what happened at present, when the communication happens, it occurs directly, and because of that, this is called the LOS range, that is a line of sight. So when the line of sight is there are sometimes, because of the cloud cover, the communication interrupts, and because of that interruption, the data cannot be received generally. And more importantly, these satellites, when in line of sight, they are only visible for 45 minutes only, which provides a very little time. For example, just imagine if we have a satellite as big as the HISIS, which is a hyperspectral imaging satellite. Now the digital imaging records itself are the huge amount of data for the Earth. Now merely a window of 45 minutes is not enough. So in that case, the LOS range of the existing system and communication is not enough. That's why we need another satellite. So the IDRSS basically act as a savior in this thing, which can increase our time so that we can have a better communication, we can have a better window to have the data from our satellites. It is high precision images will be transferred at very high speed. So this is what it means generally, the IDRSS rule. Apart from that, the other point can be a data relay satellite instead of the geostationary orbit can overcome the need of large number of the ground-based stations. So there are few ground-based stations are required for that if we have the two satellite in the orbit. So it will save our space and the cost at the same time. So this is mainly about the IRNSS as well as the IDRSS. In the next lecture, we will study about the ISRO space exploration mission till now. So let's jump to the next chapter. Thank you.